As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Hey.
Wow.
I don't know what beat that is. But you know what? We're starting a Friday morning like that. And you know, today it's very like, you know, if you're waking up pissed off about Tyleik Williams, the Lions, this will soothe you a little bit, you know? It won't raise your blood pressure. Listen, we're going to have some interesting conversations today. All right, me and Boone are going to go through, talk about Tyleik Williams. We're going to have Kory Woods join the show, share his thoughts on it. And then we'll talk about what we expect from round 2 and beyond here. So, how are you feeling, Boone?
I feel good. I do. I feel really good. I'll say this, and I think a lot of people, it was I wouldn't say shocking of a pick, but, and I know there were a lot of people who like, hey, Tyleik, the Lion, he's going to be a Detroit Lion. I think the point stands of how good of a player he is. There were a lot of very, very good players on the board last night. So, I mean, I was up, I'm going to be honest, Jeff, thinking about Tyleik, thinking about the pick. Honestly, I was more so up thinking about today until about 3 o'clock this morning. So I'm running on a couple hours of sleep. I've got my coffee here. I just tweeted it out. I tweeted out my own breaking news as soon as the show started here at 8:01, 8:02. Brad Holmes will be making a move today to trade up. If you watched his press conference last night, I know we have Kory joining the show. I'm sure he was there and listening to it, and he had spoke with Brad. Brad Holmes will make a move today, and I think he's going to move up and get an absolute dog. I really do. I'm convinced about it. I don't know how far he'll move up, but if I had to guess, Jeff, you have Tyleik Williams at 28. He moves into the 30s and grabs one of these edge rushers still left on the board, and Donovan Izaraku, maybe a Mike Green, who they've met with. So I feel good this morning. I watched some more. I was up watching Tyleik Williams highlights last night, and I just couldn't stop watching. This guy is an absolute monster of a player.
Okay, so this is how. Okay, so now that we're in the morning after the pick, I still really like the pick. You know, I'm not like freaking out about the pick, or I'm upset about the pick. I did say on the show last night that we have to see what happens today. I think today is going to be very important. You have to see how they address the edge position, because in round 1, when you listen to Brad's press conference, and if you tune into it last night, if you haven't, I suggest you go tune into it, because it makes things make even more sense, or it makes things make, if you don't think it makes any sense, you'll think it makes some sense.
Yeah. Because
when I listened to Brad speak about Tyleik, and really what he was saying was essentially that they were at one point trying to trade back, but then the run on offensive linemen started earlier than he expected. And when he looks at this class with defensive tackle depth, at that point, you know how many tackles were taken in the first round? Defensive tackles? 5. So 4 were already gone.
Yeah.
So you have to think
there were 9 or defensive linemen.
So yeah, and then in total defensive linemen, but defensive tackles, they were already going on a run. I mean, Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant, you had Walter Nolan, Mason Graham, and then I think I'm forgetting one. But regardless, I think that's actually including Tyleik. But whatever, regardless, when it got to Tyleik, Brad in his head was going, well, I could trade back, but then I risk potentially not having Tyleik, and then at that point, the whole game plan is a shit show anyway. So he stayed put, took a player they really liked. And honestly, when you think of Tyleik, and Lukas nailed this last night, so I give him credit.
Yep.
He talked a lot about how he reminds him of Aleem McNeil. Brad went into that on his press conference, how he reminds him a ton of Aleem, and how Aleem early, he lost a bunch of weight. So Aleem, he's mainly playing 3-tech. Tyleik can play 3-tech while Aleem's out and play nose. And he's probably a better nose translating to the NFL, which for those who don't know, DJ Reader, you're not re-signing him. You're not paying money for him. You guys want to re-sign other players. Well, you can save significant money at that position by having Tyleik now instead of DJ Reader. And you have him under contract for 4 years and then the 5th-year option, of course. So I aside from like what contractually and making sense, him replacing DJ Reader, when you look at the player, I got a text last night too. It was like, well, Jeff, they're already good against the run. Like, no, you're making a strength even stronger. And Tyleik is going to help Aiden. You know why? Because he's going to demand a double team. That's what he's going to do. Demand a double team. And with him, Aleem, Aiden, and we'll see what they do today, because there's still some pretty good pass rushers out there. You can look at this first round pick a lot differently. If they have a good day today, Boone, no one's going to care about this Tyleik pick. No one. They're all going to be ecstatic. It's just what it is, man.
And great point by you. And one of the things that Brad talked about last night, like you said, the Aleem thing, and he said, hey, when we had drafted Aleem, and obviously Aleem wasn't a first round pick, but when we drafted him, he was a little bigger. He had to lose the weight and kind of transition to that 3-tech. And this is what Klotz, again, this is credit to Klotz from last night. And he had to transition to that. The fact that Tyleik is already basically in that kind of shape and he's doesn't have that weight on him, and he is already at that level that you're like, hey, we got to get Aleem to get to. I think that's like okay, that's why he's worthy of a first round pick. That's why he's talented there. I do think that's a good point by you. And really, if you think about it, they obviously were hell-bent on being like, we want a defensive tackle in this draft. I know they go BPA, but when they have their board and they're looking at, hey, there are needs. And I think Brad did look a little bit more so on the future of this team, which, again, I preach BPA, fine. All right, let's do that. That is okay. Like, I think the decision he made was fine. But obviously, they looked at this defensive tackle class, like you said, Jeff, not just like, hey, there's a run on offensive lineman. This tackle's like, he might not be here at 28. Like, this is a problem. And he said he was nervous. He was like, what did he say? He was like, I was frantic. Like, I was like, oh no, like Tyleik's probably going to go before 28. Ends up being there. I do not think that this is, when we talked about how deep of a defensive tackle class this is, the way Brad was talking last night, guys like Darius Alexander, defensive tackles that we've talked about in the second, third round, obviously aren't as good as maybe we think, because Brad was just sitting last night himself said, this was one guy that we needed. And after that, like, it was thin. And we wanted to make sure we got a guy at that position. So that's fine. And I see people in the chat, like Ryan said, I disagree. It's also a win now made a leap. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, Ryan, you're disagreeing with me when I'm saying your point. It's a win now move that Brad had BPA, but at the same time, it was a move where it was like, hey, we need this now because of Aleem and DJ Reader. Which I think, again, if that's the move you're going to make, I think it's perfectly fine. And that's why I really do believe, Jeff, today, Brad makes a massive move to go get an edge rusher. And he said it last night. I don't know if you guys heard this, but in his press conference last night, it was at midnight, he comes out and basically says, I already have some plans. Like, I'm already locked in. I already have an idea. And this was when he was asked specifically about moving for an edge rusher. And he was like, I knew this question was going to come. And he goes right away. He just says, I have an idea. He's like, I might stay put, but I already have some options and opportunities and things I want to do to where when I wake up tomorrow morning, if I love a player, I'm going to make that move and go get that guy. And we've seen Brad do it in the second round. We've seen him do it in the third round. We've seen him do it in the first round. So I think this morning, Brad is going to kind of wake up, go to Allen Park, see the guys like Donovan Izaraku, maybe even the Josiah Stewarts, and make sure, hey, I'm getting my guys tomorrow, and I'm going to get an edge rusher. So that's where I'm a little like, I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm very confident in what he's going to do today. Now, if he doesn't get an edge rusher today, and you're talking about this defensive line as a whole, the one pushback I had this whole time with Tyleik Williams, it wasn't the player. Like last night, it's not the player. It's really just the D-tackle room. It's that interior defensive line room. It's, hey, this is a loaded room now, and if you guys saying, hey, Booner, you're crazy for saying this, there were beat reporters last night that asked Brad specifically about this. Brad mentioned in Florida in the NFL team meetings, hey, our defensive tackle room is pretty packed right now. He mentioned it a month ago or a couple weeks ago. And then he goes out and drafts a first round defensive tackle. So that's where I'm going to sit there and say, it's kind of a crazy move, and it's a ballsy move to be like, to put it on the table and be like, we're taking a defensive tackle first overall when we have DJ Reader, Ali McNeil. We just drafted Mekhi Wingo. We've drafted Josh Pascal. We've drafted Levi O. We traded up and drafted Broderick Martin, and we're still going to go first round defensive tackle. I think it's bold from Brad. It's a big move from him to do it, but the man loves him. He loves Tyleik Williams, and the film shows it. You know what, Jeff? And I found out last night, this is shocking to the people who say we can't, like, and I say it all the time, Jeff, you never know who they actually meet with. We had no clue that they met with Tyleik Williams 2 times. They met with him at the Combine, he said last night, and they had a meeting with him at the Combine, and they brought him in for a top 30 visit. There were only 4 players on all of the list that we saw that they met with twice. I don't remember seeing Tyleik Williams on that list. So no one had any clue. And they loved him. He said, we went through the whole process. We loved his character. We sat down and they watched film with him. And they said the man is on a different level when it comes to that. So I think that is like what you're looking for in a Brad Holmes pick. And that's what I kind of like, all right, I could take a step back and I can agree with the pick just based off of that. Like, we do know, we've seen guys like Brad draft the Jack Campbell's, smart, Jameer, smart, Brian Branch, smart, Amon-Ra, smart, like Sam Laporta, very smart. That's what Tyleik Williams brings as well.
Shout out Jeff in the comments. So what happened? I'm dickless. Okay, so it's a good one actually.
Is this you?
Yeah, it's me. No, that's a good one. But here's the thing, right? People, and I already know how it's gonna be. It's like reminds me a little bit of politics sometimes. Is like people want you to think how they think.
Oh my goodness.
They're trying to shove a perspective down your throat. It's like, okay, like we got a comment today because we were happy about Tyleik at 28 that someone commented. They're like, you guys are really celebrating? It's like, dude, we're celebrating because we like the player. Now, if that person on Twitter has been paying attention to our channel, we've been talking about Tyleik. So I listen, was it someone we expected? No, it wasn't. I'm not going to sit here and act like we expected Tyleik to go today. I'm not going to do that, or yesterday. But what I will say is, once the dust settled, we're looking at the TV going, this guy is a good player. Yes. Now, would you argue, well, he was drafted 10, 15 spots higher than he should have? Yeah, who gives a fuck? I mean, like, he would have been gone early second anyway. Like, This is the problem. People get so obsessed with, like, where a player goes draft wise, but then they'll on the other side of their mouth, they'll say, well, if Brad likes a guy, go get him. This is what this is. I mean, it's not a massive reach in my opinion. And now Brad obviously has him higher clearly. But where he was going, like, there's no given he would have been there to be able to trade up to get him in the second. So, you know, that's the thing that I think some people struggle with is like, oh, you drafted Tyleik Williams. It was a reach. He's an early second. Dude, you're picking at 28. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that much of a difference. You get a 5th-year option. Cool. All right. Awesome. But at the very worst, you get your guy. And by the way, people are going to like this exercise. After Kory joins and we're going to get done, me and you, Boone, are going to go through who's still available in the draft. Because when people see this list, guys, the amount of pass rushers that are still on the board that are good players, trust me, Brad's got something up his sleeve. I can see Brad jumping up, trading away future capital, and trying to get one of these guys. Now, if he doesn't do it, again, we could talk then. But from what he was saying last night, if they really like somebody, they'll go get him today.
The big thing too, Jeff, is it's like, all right, let's be realistic. If you want to build this defensive line, right? Defensive tackle obviously is a big position of need, and if you have a guy you love, you do it. And same with the edge rusher. Like, hey, you need to build this defensive line, and you need to maintain it. If you would have gone edge rusher here, right, Jeff? You're not finding a defensive tackle at a spot anywhere near. If Tyleik Williams goes off beginning of second round, boom, or someone takes him at the back end of the first year, you're not finding a Tyleik Williams in the second round. No, you're not. You just won't. Darius Alexander, potentially you could argue, but if Brad has him at that, like if he has a very big gap, all right, he made that decision knowing that there's a gap in defensive tackle. With edge rusher, look how the edge rusher board felt last night, boys. Look how many edge rushers that we thought were very, very elite are still sitting on the board on Friday morning. Mike Green, Izaraku, These are guys where it's like, hey, those are top 15 picks, and
Mhm.
they're sitting there in round 2. So if you want to kind of push back at Brad, be like, hey, maybe Brad knows something, and maybe Brad tonight goes out there and gets one of those guys, and he was able to land a Tyleik who you would have never probably gotten in the second round, and he's able to add a premier edge rusher still, who you could have gone in the first round, but you wouldn't have gotten that defensive tackle in the second. So he could still end up getting both. So that's why I think it's a little bit like, hey, wait to see until the end of Friday night. And do that. I think it's fine to, like, I don't know. I'm going to post the Tyleik Williams highlights here in a little bit on Crunch Time. If you do have a little pushback, just go watch it. Like, the Lions posted it as well on their YouTube. Like, just when we post it, go take a look at it and then come back and be like, okay, I see why he is a first round pick. Like, you can make the argument at this point. Like,
Yeah,
the kid is unbelievable.
This is the thing I think I'm struggling with, Boone, is like people. Okay, let me see. People will say and agree. Remember, we were talking about this draft. Remember, we talked about this draft at length about the talent. What was the words we used that I think Daniel Jeremiah originally said? What was it about this draft? It's a
starter draft, not a star draft. You're going to get a lot of starters. You're not going to get any big time stars.
Agreed. Very top heavy. A lot of these guys at the top are probably going to be really good players, but past that, you're trying to look for starters. But then people jump up in arms about a guy getting breached on 10 picks earlier. It's like, if this draft class isn't regarded as a strong draft class and many teams are trying to trade out and the Lions didn't and they stayed put and took them, I don't see the issue. It's like, dude, the draft class, you're trying to find a good player, man. And I think they did. Let's bring on Kory. Let's get his thoughts on the pick and kind of what because he was, he was grinding last night. So let's get his thoughts on it. Please welcome to the show. Covers the Detroit Lions, mlive.com. That is Kory Woods. Kory, how are we doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing this morning?
We're doing good, Kory.
Doing good.
We're getting through it, man. We're talking to the people about it. We're trying to, navigate our way through it because I think it's hard for people to understand that it's okay to like a selection. You know what I mean? It's okay to like a pick sometimes, especially in the first round. But Kory, let me ask you your reaction. You got to see it. I mean, Mike Green, Izaraku, Jahad Campbell, all on the board. Obviously, none of us expected Tyleik Williams, but we covered him extensively. Really like the player. He's probably going to go 10, 15 picks later, if not the next couple of picks later. He wouldn't have been there for you to reselect him. What'd you make of the pick, though, Kory? Your overall grade on it. Oh, Mike's muted.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good, brother.
Hey, man, it's a long night, guys. Give me a break. Sorry about that. But no, I thought it was a good pick, all things considered. I mean, look. Here's the thing. Do the Lions need an edge rusher? Yes, they do. I mean, I think we can. I think everybody can agree about that. And also, too, sorry about the lag. Got so much stuff going on here. Kid in the background playing with TV and everything like that. But when you look at the landscape of edge rushers available, there are still some guys there that are going to be available to them in the second round. So I don't think there's any reason to panic or anything like that just yet. I think the biggest thing is that they took somebody that they can use immediately, and he will be there for the future. Look at it like this: Aleem McNeil, with that injury, he's probably not going to be ready until middle of season, probably Thanksgiving. And then you have DJ Reader on he's on an expiring deal. He has 1 year left on his deal. So what did they do? They went ahead and got another defensive tackle of the future. I mean, you can say, oh, we got Roy Lopez. Okay, yeah, you got Roy Lopez. No disrespect to him, but this team was peppered with injuries, especially in their front seven. So you need to go ahead and add more talent. And that's exactly what they did. So I think it was a very solid move. And again, if you look at Brad Holmes' presser last night, he is very aware that, hey, we need to go out and go get an edge rusher. If I could read the tea leaves of what he was saying, they're probably going to try to make some type of move at some point today. Don't know what that looks like, but I mean, I thought it was a solid move.
Oh, Boone. It's all good.
Oh, I'm muted too. There we go. That's great. What a morning. But Kory, you did bring up there, obviously Brad mentioned last night, hey, like I have things in the works here. Like I have a plan. With the guys left on the board, who would you say like, hey, these are some guys. Obviously, Mike Green, Donovan Ezra-Rocky, are those guys that you think Brad would be like, yep, I'm moving up and I'm going to be very, very aggressive today to go add guys like that? If not those two guys, who do you think on the board left maybe that you could see Brad kind of moving up to be aggressive to get?
Well, it's going to be very tricky whether Brad actually goes ahead and moves up or not. So, I mean, just reading from what he said, he has a plan in place. So we do know that there is a guy that they like. They have no hesitation on going and getting him. But let's just say they go ahead and stand pat at 60. I mean, I have a feeling that Kyle Kennard should still be out there on the board. And I mean, SEC Defensive Player of the Year, won the nation's award for the top defensive player. I mean, the guy's a sack machine, explosive off the line. He's a freak of nature, and he's an NFL ready build. So that's a guy that if they just play the board, he could fall to them. I have some other guys here on too. Another guy that could fall to them out of Louisville, Ashton Gelati. Another guy that is very solid. Some of these guys that are available to them, a lot of them have first round grades. Right. One guy that's in your own backyard could fall to them. Josiah Stewart, another explosive player off the line. Didn't play with Aiden, but I mean, still got the Michigan ties, so you can still have something going on right there. I mean, I think that here's the thing. I think Lions fans are so hung up on the fact that they didn't get an edge in the first round, whereas, hey, we got the defensive tackle that we needed that probably was not going to be there later. We can still make a move somewhere in the second round to go up and get that edge rusher that had a first round grade. And if you're getting an edge rusher that had a first round grade in the second round, kudos to you for one.
Yep.
Two, it also falls in their game plan about the cap. And again, if the guy had a first round grade, let's say you're talking about a Mike Green or Nick Scoriton. If you can get him in the second round without having to give up much, does it matter that you didn't get him on Thursday, or does it matter that you got him?
Right.
So I mean, I just say, hey, let him play the board. We've known that Brad trades up at some point if there's a guy that he likes. So I say, like, if they go to second round without getting, if they go to second round without getting an edge or a offensive guard, then I'll be like, okay, what's going on here? But I mean, those are two of their clear needs going into the second round.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think and me and Boone and Lukas, we've been preparing ourselves for a defensive tackle anyway. So I guess that's probably why we're not as surprised as this possible outcome. And the thing I was surprised by, they've met with Mike Green, and they chose to pass on him, but so did everyone in the first round, which is surprising to me. I wonder if that's maybe a player they try and go get. I don't know.
Can I ask Kory a question real quick just about the meeting with players?
Yeah,
Kory, is this correct? Like, they're not allowed, they're not forced to have to tell people who they meet with, correct? Because Tyleik, I think they put out there, or got put out there, that they met with him once, but Brad mentioned last night that they met with him multiple times at the combine, and they brought him in on the top 30, and he said, like, hey, we've been doing this with him. And I don't think that there was reports that they met with him 2 times or more than once. It's
at their discretion.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that, because that was, I feel like pre-draft process, we all take that into account really well, especially with Brad. And they're just like, hey, there could be guys that they meet with that we just have no clue about, which I think is an interesting thought.
And I also want this for fans to consider. I mean, I understand everybody is football junkies. Everybody believes they're a GM. Everybody, watches tape. They listen to these draft experts. But even with these draft experts like a Mel Kiper or Daniel Jeremiah, they are not privy to the details that a Brad Holmes is. So I think that's what people have to really realize at the end of the day, is you can know football as much as you want. You can know the board, have played the game. You still do not have the intel available to you that Brad Holmes has. So at the end of the day, I believe that whether you like his picks or not, you have to go off the fact that he's built a team that you've never seen before, pretty much in your lifetime. And whether you want to go at his later round picks or not, there, you know, you can have that argument, but Brad's first rounders have hit. So, I mean,
yeah,
his track record is his first rounders are either Pro Bowls or All Pros, and the ones that aren't, Jack Campbell, I think we can say he's been a very great addition, and Jamison Williams, star in the making. So, I mean,
it's kind of
he has a great first round track record, if not anything.
Kory, you know what this reminds me of? Like, this is Jameer Jack, and then people freaking out, and then Brian Sam Laporta in the second, and then it's like, whoa! Actually, we love this draft. So I think something similar could be in the case today. Appreciate you, Kory. Keep it up, man. Voice of reason.
All right, thanks.
There you go.
Appreciate it, Kory.
MLive.com, joining the program, talking to the fellas. That's what I do believe, though, Boone. I think this could turn into one of those situations where people are upset. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't have an opinion on it. If you're upset about it, that's why we're here to talk about it. But I think it could be a situation where after today, people are like, not too bad. You know?
Yeah, I do think
potentially.
The one thing people should consider, and Kory brought it up, which I think is a very good point, is the amount of edge rushers that you could right now have graded as first round talent. Because what did we talk about all draft long? And I put the bet on yesterday for 9 defensive linemen and 7 offensive linemen to go off the board for plus 350, whatever it was.
Right.
It was because I really thought, hey, there's going to be a lot of trenches guys drafted. What happened with the defensive lineman, or Jeff? What was the big thing? A lot of those guys ended up falling off.
Yep.
Well, a lot got drafted, but a lot of the guys that we thought were going to go top 15, Mike Green, Izaraku, even just some other ones that were like could sneak into the first round, Nick Scorton, they're all still there. And when you have something like that, when you're sitting at 60 and you maybe have an opportunity to move up, the fact that many edge rushers that are that good have now fallen to the second round, that pushes now even more edge rushers down. And it pushes more down and more down and more down to where it's like, hey, there's going to be an opportunity to now get edge where you want to get them at that grade. The player you wanted that. I mean, there might have been edge rushers that Brad was like at 28, I love. And he's like, let's just go Tyleik. And we're still going to get this guy in the second round.
Right. I mean,
like Will Johnson, even Will Johnson, like what happens if they trade up today and go Will Johnson? That's like, to me, a Brian Branch type of move to where, hey, safety, Brian Branch should have been a first round draft pick. Could have been one of the, as if you look back at it, one of the best players in that draft class.
Should have been a first rounder.
Should have been first round. Somehow, some way falls to the second round. Will Johnson was, he's in Green Bay, sitting in the green room. And he literally just had a moment just like Brian Branch did. And those are the guys that Brad Holmes looks at and goes, we're moving up and we're doing everything we can to go get that player. And I would not be shocked tonight if they move into the first round without maybe giving up pick 60 and use maybe a third next year, or they use some draft capital. You have 7-8 picks this year. You use some draft capital, get back into the second round today, grab a Will Johnson, get yourself an edge rusher at 60 like a Josiah Stewart. You just went Josiah Stewart, Will Johnson, and Tyleik Williams. That defense just added 3 absolute dogs that have potential to be Pro Bowl players. And that's where I think it's like tonight, let this board fall, man. This kind of reminds me of that 2023 draft class. Obviously, you didn't pick as early as you did in the first, but like when you're talking about day 2, it reminds me of 2023 when you're like, there are a lot of very, very good first round talent, potentially kids in this second round.
Well, let's see. According to ESPN, the best defensive ends available. Want to check it out? You want to see?
Yeah. And by the way, can we just? I just want to throw this out. Henry or Jamison Williams, Brad Holmes, confirming yesterday, J-Mo was never on the trade block, not once. He said, "I don't know where people got that report at." He said, "I never had a conversation with Dan about trading J-Mo."
Yeah. Well, here's the best available. Okay, let's go through it. So, for defensive ends, these are the best players available. Look at this list. Mike Green, still there. Donovan Izaraku, Jordan Birch, JTT, Oladejo, Nick Scorton, Landon Jackson, Josiah Stewart, Braden Swinson, Princely, Savion Jones, Jack Sawyer, Kyle Kennard, Jared Ivey's still here, Like, look at there's probably 15 to 20
Yes.
guys that you'd be okay with taking today.
Mike Green.
And a handful of these guys that probably should have been first rounders. I mean, Mike Green, Donovan Izaraku, and Nick Scorton all mocked to the first round a lot. And if it's not those guys, like I said, you still have a handful of really good pass rushers. And I think what Brad has to weigh out to himself is, if we're going to take an edge at 28, will there be a similar player in the second, similar caliber of player that either A, I could trade up for, or B, I can say put at 60 and take? And when you look at this list, like, there is talented guys. Like, if they walk away with Jordan Birch today,
Yep.
or, JTT or Nick Scorton, or if they trade up and get Donovan Izaraku or Mike Green,
Oh my
everyone's
gosh.
looking at this going, yeah, we're happy. Like, dude, these are dudes that are still available here.
Can I throw something out there with the chat real quick, Justin? I'm sorry, Jeff. I know we're cooking right now. He said at 28 we took the rank 52 big. That's a reach when rank 19 was still on the board. If you're covering the draft or you're talking about the draft, take away big boards and take away rankings. It means nothing. Just because 19 was on the board, there were 31 other teams that passed on that player.
Yeah. What is
31 other teams. And I know the Eagles got Jahad Campbell, but there are and Mike Green's a top 20 ranked guy as well. There are so many other teams that passed on these players. Just because an analyst makes a guy a top 15 ranked player doesn't mean he is actually top 15 ranked in a GM's book. That's an analyst ranking. GMs have a completely different ranking. And when you see other teams passing on certain players and Brad's passing on them as well, and Brad doesn't have Mike Green ranked that high. He doesn't have Donovan Izaraku ranked that high. He doesn't have Jahad Campbell ranked that high to where he's able to be like, I'm taking him. Then there's other GMs that have that as well. So there's a reason behind it. Don't always, what Kory just said, don't always look at the analyst rankings. Don't always listen to what the analysts. Those guys are doing what they think. They don't know. They have no clue. They're not in those rooms. And the analysts too, they don't send 100 scouts around the country watching these guys. They're one person. They can only watch so much. So I'm with you though, Jeff. That list right there, that list is. I had a dream last night, and I'm not kidding. This is like a legit, and I don't know if it's going to come true, but I slept 2 hours last night, 3 hours. You know what I had a dream about, Jeff?
What'd you have a dream
I had a dream about our show tonight, and I actually woke up in a panic thinking that I missed it for social and graphics. This is how obsessed we are with the game. I woke up in a panic, Jeff, like, oh my gosh, did I miss to post a pic? Jordan Birch.
Yeah.
I legit I'm not kidding. It was like a legit dream in my sleep.
I can see it, man.
And I woke up and in my dream, I was like, oh, we drafted Jordan Birch. Do we have a graphic? And I'm looking around and I'm like in my bed and I'm like, oh no. And it was Jordan Birch. And I'm like, imagine if we draft Jordan Birch tonight. And I just did that.
Jordan Birch, if you leave round 2, if your first 2 picks are Tyleik and Jordan Birch, hypothetically, there's a bunch of edges, but let's just go with that. And then in the 3rd round, you could still take like a here. I'll put it on the screen here so we can see.
We have 102 in the 3rd, correct?
So look at the guards. So you look at some of the guards: Jonah, Tate, Marcus, Miles, Dylan Fairchild. There's still Joshua Gray from Oregon State. There's still some pretty good guards, solid guards. If you want to take a guard too.
What about tackle?
Tackle Ariante Ursi. Charles Grant, Anthony Belton,
Logan Brown down there,
Johnny Cornelius, who could play guard. So there's still guys here that if you want to take in the 3rd round, will probably still be there too. So I think for Brad, it's about what does he do today, of course. Yeah. And I'll say this, man, and I'll say it because I know this. I think we're us in the chat. The chat can agree with this. If today doesn't go as we expect, and they don't take an edge, and you wait, maybe Brad, I think let's just say hypothetically, the first pick on an edge is like the 5th round or whatever. Then we can be like, well, damn, you should have taken one earlier. Still doesn't change. Again, you have to see the canvas fully painted here. You know,
yep.
It's still being painted. That's why, just looking at the pick straight up at 28, Tyleik, I like the pick. But for people that are freaking out that it should have been an edge, let's just see how today plays out. Because today, I think, could alter people's minds a lot. If you leave the draft with any of these edges, man, in the second,
I'm happy.
They went trenches first 2 rounds. This is what people wanted. If they get Tyleik and they get like a Jordan Birch, Kyle Kennard. I mean, Klotzy's gonna have a field day. They're all like guys he like broke down, but good players, all good players, man. There's plenty of them. And again, you never know. We're gonna watch. By the way, we'll be live today. We'll probably start around 5:30. We'll be live reacting to the draft live. So come hang out with us. But you never know, man. Brad could be picking a lot earlier than we expect. He could be moving up to take a guy. So it's not over. You got to wait till today it wraps up, and then we can get to it. And then tomorrow will be a whole nother situation. But
Cody put it very well in the chat. Like all of the people mad. It's really about, hey, you see the big names in mock drafts, and you're mad that you didn't get them. And let's give us as an example, Jeff. Like we've had these guys. Like I traded up for Mike Hill. I traded up for Mike Green in a mock draft at one point. I'm sure we all did. I mean, we've traded up for James Pierce. We've traded up for Jahad Campbell. And when you do those, it's easy to fall into, hey, we know, hey, we're doing a show. We know how the boards. We know who's good and who's not. Let it play out a little bit, man. Like look back in a couple of years, and you might see why some of these guys fallen. Right? Or if Brad has the plan, he gets a steal on one of these guys who did fall, and you're sitting there going, how did he get him in the second round? Just like he got Sam Laporta and Brian Branch, and or how he's gotten a Kirby Joseph in the third and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I like the names still on the board. I'm interested to see like the Mike Green. I think that's the biggest storyline in my opinion going into tonight, because they have met with Mike Green. And I know there are those issues with the
accusations.
The accusations when he was at his former college before. So I don't know if that's playing a part. My guess is that is playing a part in it, because he is a good ball player and he can play football. So that's the shocking news of him falling. But I do think there's a world to where if Brad's met with him and they've had conversations and they do their due diligence about it, that's a player you can move up for, especially getting, that's again, first rounded graded player that you're snagging in the second round, which I think is a big deal, a huge deal.
Cody says, do we think Green falls to 60 and if we take him there, or is Brad totally out because of the allegations? We'll find out today, man. I mean, they met with them. I don't know if that was maybe due diligence or there is interest, but we'll find out tonight. There's going to be he ain't going to wait too long, I don't think, Mike Green. There'll be teams trying to get him. Michael says, I wanted Kenneth Grant and I'll take the D tackle we got, but if we don't get an edge in round 2 or 3, I'm going to lose it. See, and I get it. That's a fair. I think that's fair. I mean, even the wide receivers, Boone. I'm looking at some of these wide receivers. Luther Burden, by the way, never selected in the first round.
That's crazy.
Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, Luther Burden, Jalen Noel, Jack Beck, Jalen Royals, Kyle Williams. Look at it. Like these wide, Ty Felton, like Eric or Alik.
Yeah, they met with him. They loved him.
Yeah, Alik's here. Isaiah Bonna, Isaac Tesla, Pat Bryant. I mean, there's still some good players here, man. So I think today is going to be very interesting. Now the Browns have 2 picks in like the next 5 or whatever, 4 picks. So I think they might go edge. Because
who they're taking.
Oh, Mike Green.
Who the Browns are taking. They're taking Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, I can see him going quarterback, defensive end in 2 of those picks, which would be really good picks.
Well, didn't they? Who did they get? Oh, they got Mason Graham.
Mason Graham. And they still.
I wouldn't be shocked if they got Luther Burden, Jeff, for a weapon.
Sure. I mean, very well could. And like get a weapon. So again, you got to see how today plays out. I want to give a shout out to Brian, became a Crunch member during the stream. Appreciate you, Brian, my man. 00 Dolphin says, thank you for the $5, man. He says Brad is consistently locked to steal in the second after a reach in the first. I don't hate the pick. I just hope we don't miss out on great value. And you know what? That's fair. That's fair.
Last thing I'll say too, because I'm going to hop off here. Again,
deliver your final message, Boone.
Final message. I love Tyleik Williams. The pick itself, or the player itself, I love. The one thing I'm just going to leave the people with, and I'm just interested to see how it works. Again, Brad was asked this last night, Jeff Iafrate, and I'm interested to see how all of it unfolds. This defensive tackle room, It's booked. There's no more tickets available to get into that room. It is fully sold out. That room it's probably the deepest room right now in the Detroit Lions building. And I'm not saying it's deep with good players, but I'm just saying there are a lot of players that are going to be in that defensive tackle room. You have DJ Reader, Ali McNeil, Tyleik, Mekhi Wingo, who you drafted last year, is Kyle Peck? No, I don't know. But Pat O'Connor, Roy Lopez. Who am I missing here? Broderick Martin, Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike. It is an absolute packed room. So I'm interested to see how Brad. I'm interested to see how they maneuver it. Dan obviously loved it. That's a deep, deep, deep room with a lot of players. So we'll see how it works out. I love to pick Tyleik. If you guys want to see kind of a little bit of highlights we posted on our Twitter, the man is a monster. He disrupts offenses. He destroys quarterbacks. Only thing that he needs to work on is probably his pass rush, but his run defense is you're probably not finding a lot of defensive tackles in this class that have the run defense that Tyleik Williams has, which is what your defense is based off of. So hey, getting Kelvin Shepherd some guys as a first year DC, Jeff Iafrate. I love it.
I do. I love it a lot, man. I mean, I do. Even you look at the guy, I mean, look at this player, man. He's just a disruptor. You see it on tape here. Look at right there, double teamed and still run stops. I mean, that's what he does, man.
Crazy.
Look at him throw that guard like he's like, look at that. The guy's
there's some plays, Jeff, of him like running downfield to catch guys. Like he is very athletic too.
Look at that's the pressure. Look at the pass rush, man. He's got a little juice to him.
We're just double team there. Boom. Double team, destroy quarterback. Double team, destroy quarterback. Go watch the highlights on our Twitter that I just posted. This guy, it's unbelievable. He's a game wrecker, it feels like, and a run stopper. So all right, guys, I'll see you guys tonight.
Or you'll be live in a couple later this afternoon.
Yeah, 2 o'clock. What do you think?
Yeah, go live. Yep.
All right, I'll go live at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock with Boone.
I'll see you guys later. Love you all.
All right, Boone.
Hey, good luck, Jeff Solo. Have fun.
Thank you. Appreciate it, buddy. All right, let's check this out.
Yeah, take that back. You didn't just do the buddy.
Pal.
No. All right, sport.
My good friend Boone. There you go.
I'll talk to you later, Squirt.
There you go. One Pride. Appreciate the 5 Crunch Time memberships a lot. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Giving out to the people. Let's have this conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about it. All right. Who is on your most wanted list, or at least a most wanted player for today? Let's have that conversation, because I just showed you, and I can show you again. So that way you kind of have a refreshed memory. But guys that are there, that are remaining at pass rusher. And if you want to go guard, I think that's fair too. But look at some of these players. Tell me who you want. Talk to me now. Mike Green, Donovan Izaraku, Jordan Birch, JTT, Oladejo, Nick Scorton, Landon Jackson, Josiah Stewart, Braden Swinson, Princely, Savion Jones, a guy that I really like, Jack Sawyer. Which way you want the Lions to go? Because I'll tell you this right now, and Will Johnson is still there. I see that. Shout out Nathan. He says Will Johnson. But for me, when I look at this list, if you bring me, this is who I prefer. If I could have a pick of the litter, obviously Mike Green and Donovan Izaraku are 2 players that should have been first round picks. So I think that would probably be the easy, like, go get those guys, trade up and get them. Now, if you can't get either of those players, and you're telling me, Jeff, you're going to end today with Josiah Stewart, Savion Jones, Princely, Umanamilan from Ole Miss. I think I just butchered that last name. I'm going to be very, very happy. And you guys know how much I've been preaching from the top ropes about Savion Jones. I really like Savion Jones. And again, what we talk about with the Lions meeting with players, when they meet with guys, that's your hint right there. Typically, when they're meeting with them, they like them. And they've met with Josiah. They've met with Savion Jones. They've met with Jack Sawyer. They've done their due diligence. I think they might have met with Nick Scorton. I'd have to confirm that. I'm not 100% certain with that. But Jordan Birch, another player we've talked extensively about, you can still go edge. You can. And think about this defensive line, like for the future. If they do take like a Jordan Birch or a Savion Jones or a Mike Green or whoever, you're going to have Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, who are both, I mean, Aleem's under contract. Aiden's going to get extended. So he's going to have a lot. He's going to get a lot of money and be here for a while. Tyleik Williams, who's here for the next 4 or 5 years. And then you can possibly have Jordan Birch, Savion Jones, Princely, like any of these guys. To me, that's a pretty good defensive line for the future. You know, that is. And again, how much are you going to command on a lot of these rookies year one? I mean, besides defensive end, you're probably not going to ask any of these guys to make a significant impact year one. I mean, you take a wide receiver, he's going to be your wide receiver 3-4. Your defensive end's probably going to play the most. Tyleik will play early because they need, I mean, Tyleik can play 3-tech, which I think people are forgetting. He's not just a nose tackle. He can play 0-tech, 3-tech. I mean, anything you need from Tyleik, he can do it. But you're still shaping up a pretty good defensive line. And that's where I'm coming from with it. I know people, it's very easy to be like, well, this guy, this guy's drinking Brad Holmes' bathwater. It's like, guys, you know me. If I don't like a pick, like, for example, if yesterday they took a corner, if they took a safety, they took a wide receiver, we'd be having a very different conversation. I promise you, I wouldn't be starting off this morning going, I love the pick, man. I just wouldn't. So it's not even about trusting Brad. You guys don't trust Brad. I genuinely like the player. I do. And if I didn't, I would say it. And I would say, what? I don't know about that. Do I trust Brad? Yeah, but I don't like this pick. I like Tyleik. And in my opinion, in a draft class that many would regard as, a lot of starters, not a ton of stars, I don't think you can really use the reach argument, especially if it's a reach of what? A handful of picks, 10, 15 picks? If you're taking a guy in this draft, 10, 15 picks earlier than he would have went, and that's just me being just hypothetically, we don't know. I don't think that's not like a crazy reach. If the guy's a good player, you take him. Like, wouldn't you want your GM to get someone he loves? Especially if it's a player I don't think would have been there that much longer. It's not like they just took, trying to think of like a late round reach, but like Jack Sawyer at 28, or, I'm trying to think of like another, what's the defensive tackles, I guess. I mean, they have Darius Alexander still here. TJ Sanders, I think, can be pretty good, but it's not like they took frickin' Ty Robinson at 28. I mean, they took Tyleik Williams. And look at the defensive tackles that are available. Like, you have to have this in mind too. I mean, Darius Alexander, I really like Darius Alexander, but Shamar Turner, TJ Sanders, I really like. Omar Norman Lott, Alfred Collins, Ty Robinson. Like, look at this defensive tackle group, guys. And it's a need, whether people want to admit it or not, because you're not going to pay DJ Reader. You have to save money because of all the other players you have to pay. You want to get cheaper at defensive tackle because you're paying Aleem and you're already paying DJ, and DJ's not getting any younger. He's not a bad player. You're just not going to extend him. You're not. So the fact that you got younger, cheaper, and a player with a higher upside to replace DJ Reader, I love it. I love it. Low High says Ty Robinson should be a second-round pick, low-key based off his tape, but I'm just talking. Yeah, and again, we'll see where Ty Robinson goes. We've had him late in our mocks, but again, these mocks don't mean a damn thing. None of these mocks mean anything. They don't. They don't. These mocks that we do, guys, and I try to say that as much as I can when we do these, but I have to say it again. Like, a lot of these mocks don't mean a damn thing. They don't. Because players are going higher and lower where they're actually going to go. The only people that genuinely know where someone's going to go are people in NFL front offices. And I think that's the point that Kory Woods made when he joined the show. Is like, people, they watch, which, again, I am well tuned in. I am well tuned into, as well as you guys are, to some of these draft experts like the Joe Klatz of the world, Todd McShay's of the world, Mel Kiper's of the world, Daniel Jeremiah. The list goes on. But even those guys get it wrong. They do. Like, you look at Peter Schrager. Peter Schrager is probably the best mock drafter right now. He gets so much intel. And he had Will Johnson going to the Lions, and he's available. Like, he had a corner. Like, no one knows any of this stuff. You know, I'm just as clueless. We're all clueless. You know, we are. None of us have an idea what Brad's going to do. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not trying to pull that card where it's like, you don't know. You know, you don't know and you shouldn't comment on it. No, you could be upset. I'm just giving you my perspective, why I'm not as upset. Like, I think Tyleik wasn't that much of a reach. And if you want to say, well, Jeff, 15 picks. Okay, cool. You know, if he's a good player, no one's going to look at the 15 picks. Now, is there still a standard you hold to Tyleik? Absolutely. I'm not saying Tyleik can just be, you know, mid and be and you'll be like, well, it was still a good pick. No. We have to see what Tyleik turns into. He's a first-round pick. So with that comes first-round pick standards. But I'm pretty confident he'll hold up to that. He's got some fun tape. He does. Malik says, I saw a way too early mock draft a little less than a year ago where a guy took Tyleik Williams for the Lions. Yeah, that's the thing about Tyleik. And I give a lot of credit to Lukas because if you were watching our stream, which if you did, appreciate you. It was a lot of fun last night, man. Just in general, you guys showed up and supported us. It was big time. So I can't thank you guys enough for that. It was a great show. But Lukas, after Tyleik was picked, he's very consistent. Lukas looked at the camera and said, he reminds me of kind of Aleem McNeil. You know, that's kind of what I see in him. I think he's a better pass rusher than people give him credit for, although the stats aren't going to jump off the page. But I think Todd McShay said he has ballerina feet. Big fella. Doesn't move like his size. Moves well for his size. Lukas went into that last night on the show. And then I tuned in on the ride home because I didn't get home last night till 2 a.m. I mean, it was a pretty late night. But on the ride home, I turn on Brad Holmes' press conference and I'm listening. What does Brad do in the press conference? Spoke about how he reminds him so much of Aleem McNeil. Now, I mean, we'll see if he turns into, you know, Aleem McNeil in terms of like production or whatever type of player. But Aleem McNeil lost a lot of weight. Now he's pretty much a 3-tech. Tyleik is going to be right next to him. And he's going to be demanding a double team. So I'm excited to see what this turns into. And I saw a comment earlier, and I don't remember who it was from, so that's on me for not remembering. But someone asked in the comment section, I just saw it, does this mean that DJ Reader is a cut candidate? It's an interesting question. I honestly, I think that's a very fair question. I think DJ Reader, is he a cut candidate? I wouldn't say so right now. I think this could be a situation where you do roll into the season with DJ, but you have someone ready. Because think about it. Like, how many think of the guys who could play that spot, guys. Like last year, think about this. DJ Reader went down for a game. Who came in and played for him when DJ Reader went down? And like, who went in and played for him? Broderick frickin' Martin. Broderick Martin went in for DJ Reader this past year. You cool with that? Hell no. And then Pat O'Connor went in, to Ryan's point. Pat O'Connor, who was a free agent. So now they have Tyleik Williams, who's on deck, ready to go. And he's obviously significantly better than Broderick Martin. Significantly better. And to Brian's point, I think it was Ryan. 40 Gumbel, actually. About cutting DJ Reader. Aleem is a question mark to even start the year. You need the depth. He's right. 40 Gumbel's spot on. You do. Because Aleem, like Kory put very well earlier, Aleem might not be back to Thanksgiving? I mean, he's going to be out. He tore his ACL towards the end of the year. So he's not going to be there to start the year. So now you have Tyleik Williams, who in a rotation, keeping him fresh, he's gonna make some plays for you. Like, you can impact the game in more ways than just getting sacks, which are very important. But Tyleik is going to help Aiden in a different way because he's going to demand a double team, just like DJ Reader does at times. But I think Tyleik, especially because he's more athletic, he's got bend, like he's a better athlete than DJ Reader, especially at this point in his career. Like DJ Reader is not getting any younger. So now you have him. And then when Aleem gets back, you still have Tyleik. You still have Mekhi Wingo. You still have Levi Onwuzurike. And then if they draft an edge, you're going to have Aiden, Davenport, that edge. Do they, re-sign Zadarius Smith? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have that answer. I hope they do. But still, you'll have a pretty good rotation there up front. You'll have some guys there on the defensive line. It'll be interesting. So they still have to address edge. They still have to address guard, and they still have to address wide receiver. Those are three positions that I think we all consistently in everyone's mocks, and we've read at some of your guys' fan mocks and broke those down. Those have been positions that we've addressed earlier. But also, this is why it's not as surprising just to me. Defensive tackle has always kind of snuck in there early, whether it was in the second, Kenneth Grant in the first. I had Derek Harmon one time. Like the defensive tackle pick isn't as surprising to me. And Tyleik, the thing about Tyleik too is his freshman year at Ohio State, he had 5 sacks. 5 sacks. He hasn't gotten back to that number, but it shows what he's capable of. It shows what he's capable of there. And he's one of the best run defenders in college football. That has to account for something, right? That has to account for something. Like one of the highest graded run defenders, especially in a league where you're going to have to face Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers, Josh Jacobs for the Packers. And I'm sure the Bears are going to take a running back. So to have someone that can stop the run, again, is it the number one thing you want to do? The Lions, they do. Pass rush is also important. I get that, but that can happen today. That can happen today. And I see Malik talking about Josiah Stewart. Josiah Stewart, man, they've met with him multiple times. Keep an eye out for Josiah Stewart. Keep an eye out for him. I think Josiah Stewart, Savion Jones, Jordan Birch, Mike Green, Donovan Izaraku, that bucket right there are all guys the Lions probably have their eyes on. Nick Scorton, Michael just put in there. So just be ready, because today could be very, very interesting. They could go a couple of different ways with this. Trading up and getting one of these guys is still on the table. And this has been a draft where, at least in the first round, you're seeing teams trade up with the value that's still there. If teams maybe they don't need an edge and they think, well, we like this player at this position, but we can get him, a little later on, teams are going to be willing to move back too. The Cleveland Browns start the draft with, let me see. We can look at the picks right now so we can all be on the same page with this. So here, let me put this on the screen. All right. These are the picks to start today. Let's look at it. All right. So the Browns lead off. So they pick at 33. The Texans at 34. Which, if I'm not mistaken, I kind of forgot who the Texans end up taking. Do we have that? Oh, they traded out. Yes, that's what it was. So they're probably going to take an offensive lineman at some point. But they're at 34. So Browns, Texans, Titans, Browns, Raiders, and then you have the Bears selecting back-to-back, Jets, 49ers. There's some teams here that do need an edge. You could argue the Browns need an edge. The Titans need an edge. Or a wide receiver, to be honest with you. The Raiders, they could always use an edge. The Patriots, Bears, Saints, 49ers. You get to like the Cardinals, but the Cardinals could take one too. And that's at 47. So the only problem here is there's a handful of teams that could probably take an edge ahead of you. So finding a team that's willing to move back and trading up to get them is something I see happening today, especially because of, again, who needs edges at those spots. So I think for my overall takeaway from yesterday is, listen, I like the pick. I need to see this thing. I need to see the canvas fully painted here. I need to see what happens today. But I would assume, just my opinion, no, I don't have any knowledge. Expect them to trade up. Expect Brad to go and get somebody. Because although there are a handful of teams that need edges, there's probably, looking at this list, guys, of best available at defensive end, you could probably safely say there's anywhere from 12 to 15 guys you're cool with taking. 12 to 15, which is it's a ton of guys. So just be on the lookout for that. And again, we'll be live later, 5:30 p.m. The draft's on. We'll be live. Come hang out with us. We'll be live reacting to day 2, sharing our thoughts. If you want to vent, come in the chat and vent. You're more than welcome. No issue at all with it. Justin, appreciate the Crunch Time membership, my man. Thank you for that. The support's been amazing. But please, turn on the notification bell, subscribe, and stay ready. Because when this draft starts, we will be live here. Me, Booner, Lukas, Caleb will be hanging out, talking shit, chopping it up. So until then, until later on, I appreciate you all. And follow us on social media. Justin says, Jeff, tell me it's going to be okay. Justin, I really do wish I could tell you, but we need to see what happens today, brother. We need to see what happens today, Justin, and then we can, gather the troops. But until then, let's just see. But we'll be live later, man. Much love to you all, man. You guys are the best, honestly, the best, most supportive people. Yesterday was a lot of fun. And today, doing this content, we have a ton of content planned. We'll be live also tomorrow to recap the day 2 tomorrow morning. So same stream like this tomorrow morning. So we'll go through, react to the pick, and then tomorrow morning, we're back. But until then, much love to you all. Catch you later. Peace.